22,949, still above the trend line. We put in like a little bit of a higher high, not a very convincing higher high. But today's not about that. Today is about something completely different. Today I'm going to show you how there could be 100x token in the next 3 years. So I'm going to show you a cycle. I'm going to show you the risk reward. And I'm going to show you how we can use the risk reward and the cycle to tell us when to buy this token. And if I'm right, we're going to make 100x in the next cycle, and that's going to happen in the next 3 years. So it's going to be a big show. We've also got some big Coinbase news, partnering with BlackRock. That could be huge news for crypto. So lots happening in the show, and then we're also going to be DCAing. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Get out of bit, y'all.
Yeah, someone else is trying to hijack my show. Someone else is trying to hijack my show. You let someone backstage and they try and hijack your show. Alrighty, fam. Welcome back. You see, I've got a new microphone today. I'm trying Kyle Dupes' microphone. Just tell me how this sounds. The current Bitcoin price, does it sound like Kyle? It does sound like Kyle. All right, welcome back, guys. I'm Cryptoman Ran, you know that. And I bring you crypto love and I bring you crypto wisdom. And together, we are the best community in the world. We really are the best community in the world. And today, I've got an amazing show for you guys. Initially, when the day started, it was a dry news day. But as the day went on, it just became better and better and better. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about a few tokens, specifically one token, but maybe a few tokens that can do over 100x in the next cycle. I'm going to show you when you should be looking to buy these tokens because it actually is pretty soon. So either you're going to buy them today or pretty soon. Also, we're going to be dollar cost averaging today. So we are going to be doing some DCAing today. I'm going to be giving you guys 10x on your BitGet portfolios. I'm going to be giving away a full Bitcoin. Basically, there's a lot happening here today. There's just a lot happening here today. So this is how it works. I need you to do something, and I'm going to do something. I need you guys to help us get unshadow banned. And the way to help us get unshadow banned is I need comments, not with a live stream. The live chat's cool, but after the show. So if you're watching the show after the show, I need you guys to comment, tell us what you thought about the show, and just help us get unshadow banned. We've been shadow banned by YouTube for a week or so, and it is killing us. We're working so hard, and we just keep getting shadow banned and shadow banned and shadow banned. Alrighty, let's do this. Let's have some fun. It's time to talk 100x's again. And I'm serious. Even though we said that we're not going to do any clickbait titles and that, I actually think that there actually may be 100x. And I'm going to show you how you can do 100x. Also, let me know what you think of the sound. People are saying can't hear you.
I said no, that's just one person.
Okay, just tell me what you think. Are you sure the sound's good? Is the sound better? Okay, great, amazing. All right, let's fucking go. As this guy says, let's fucking go. You guys smash the like button, you guys comment, and I bring you crypto love and crypto wisdom, and I bring you the most alpha per minute show on the planet. Okay, I bring you the most alpha per minute show on the planet. So, starting off with alpha, let's go. Okay, so Bitcoin is on the trend, nothing to worry about here. As you can see, we're still on this trend line. We're coming down and we're testing this trend line over here. We've got a little bit of a way to go before we get there. We've got to get down to say 22,200, somewhere around there to test the trend line. That's on Bitcoin, so nothing to worry about there. Ethereum is a different story. So what you can see is we may come down. We are testing this little trend on Ethereum right now. We don't want to break this 1600. We don't want to break that. And we're very, very, very close. So keep your eyes on this Ethereum trend line. But again, nothing to worry about because I think, all in all, pretty healthy market structure, and I'll show you why. The big chart that we're worrying about, the US 10-year Treasury yield, the one that I said is probably the most exciting chart that no one's talking about. Well, remember that it broke this head and shoulders, and then it retested it because Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan. She didn't go to Thailand. She went to Taiwan. Maybe she went to Thailand, but she went to Taiwan. And you see we wicked up there, but we closed below the neckline. So for now, this structure remains in play. And for me, this is the most important structure, because this structure shows me that we're actually entering a new cycle. And if we are entering a new cycle, not only may we have seen the bottom, but new cycles can really start, can really create opportunities. And they can create big opportunities. They can create 100x. They can create 1000x opportunities. James, why is my phone still beeping after you mode on it? Can you explain to me?
Now you're frozen. Oh, you're back.
Okay, am I back?
Yes.
Am I back with decent internet? Hold on, let's just have a look here. Let's just try to get the internet back. Okay, that should work. I should have great internet. Am I back? Yes. All right, so everyone's talking. So as I said, this is the most important chart, because I think if we've broken down this head and shoulders, it means that rates may start dropping. And you'll remember that rates are what got us here into the first place. This whole cycle, this entire Bitcoin cycle that went from November, let's go back to it. So just so you can see what I'm talking about here. But if you look at this whole cycle over here, was driven by the Fed's rate decision. And you can see that it corresponds exactly to the NASDAQ cycle. So that's a NASDAQ cycle. And this whole NASDAQ cycle is actually driven by rates. Now let's look at when this NASDAQ cycle turned. It turned somewhere around the end of June or the middle of June. Let's look at when the rate cycle turned. Oh, what a surprise. Somewhere just before that. So when the market sees that interest rates are starting to drop, markets are starting to go up, and that just shows you that this whole cycle is being driven by interest rates. Now, here's where I think we may be getting into a brand new cycle. This is where the alpha comes in. Yesterday, I said to you guys that the Fed were going to be out in full force and they were going to be speaking. I said to you guys, watch out, because if the Fed are hawkish, if the Fed are bearish, if the Fed are aggressive, then we could be in situations where markets respond. So let's look at what happened yesterday. Let's look at what they said. Okay, they said, we had Kashkari who came out and said, it'll most likely take several years to return inflation to 2%. Very negative. He said several years to return to 2% inflation. He said a soft landing is possible, but we don't know how likely it is. Shows that the Fed doesn't have a clue what's going on. Then he said it is highly implausible. It's a highly implausible possibility that the Fed will decrease rates next year. And we all are banking on the fact that they're going to decrease rates next year. So you can see that the Fed were out in full force. He said it is concerning that inflation is spreading. We need to act with urgency. Then we had Mary Daly, and she came out and said, we are not finished fighting high inflation. All negative. Fed's Daly said, we have a lot of tightening in the pipeline, but we have yet to see it in the data reflecting a slowing of the economy. Now, this Mary Daly is actually delusional. I'll play you a segment in a second. She also said, however, if we see inflation galloping ahead unabated, 75 basis points may be more suitable. And she was talking about September. Okay. She said, keeping rates high for a while could go longer than the periods market have begun to price in for rate decreases. So she's warning us that they may be increasing for much longer. Okay, so all this is negative, negative, negative. And you can see the whole Fed is negative, negative, negative. She also, Barkin also said the rate of inflation normalization is unpredictable. All these are very, very bad things. Okay, so all these are very, very bad. What did the NASDAQ do? Let's go to the hourly chart so you can see what the NASDAQ did as the Fed was talking yesterday. As the Fed was talking yesterday, the NASDAQ went up from here to here. Went up 3.5% yesterday as the Fed were being aggressive. And so what's that showing you is that the market is no longer being driven by the Fed and Fed talk, Fed aggression, Fed hawkishness. That's not driving the markets anymore. And that to me indicates that maybe that we're moving out of this interest rate cycle and we're moving into a new cycle. Now, remember, this interest rate cycle has brought the markets down. And usually what happens at the end of the cycle, the market bottoms and the market starts to recover on a new cycle. So let's look at what the market did here. Let's go back to the daily. From November, we went down on this rates thing. And somewhere over here where rates turned, the market started to go up, and the market's going up aggressively. In fact, let's look at the first couple of days of August. So the last week, let's look at the market over the last week. The NASDAQ has gone up 10%. So I am expecting a little bit of a pullback in the NASDAQ because I think too much too quickly is a little bit dangerous. But what I am also expecting is, or what I am saying is, I think we've seen the bottom of the interest rate cycle. Now, I don't know what the next cycle is going to be. I don't know if China is going to invade Taiwan. I don't know if we're going to get into World War III. But I do know that we've seen the end of the interest rate cycle. And if we've seen the end of the interest rate cycle, there's a good possibility that we're entering a new cycle in crypto as well. And that's where the huge opportunity may come. So keep your eyes open for that. I also saw this around the Fed, which I think was super funny. I think it was really, really funny. It was a CNBC interview with Bullard. Now, remember that Bullard is usually very bearish. So he was named wrong, unfortunately. When God was making him, he made him wrong. He put the wrong person in the wrong body. But anyway, let's just listen to this.
Why should we not think that you guys missed transitory, basically? You said transitory, and now you're overshooting the other way. Commodities are rolling over. There's all kinds of things.
Are you saying you don't trust our forecasting model?
Why should we not think that you guys missed transitory, basically? You said transitory.
I mean, are you saying
you're overshooting the other way? Commodities are rolling over. There's all kinds of things.
Are you saying you don't trust the Fed's model after they told you that they were that they had all under control? So I think funny, but not funny. Funny, not funny. But you got to look out for what's happening on the market. You got to be able to see this. And I did call the bottom a while back, and I did say I don't think we're going to go much lower than that 17,800 or that 19,000 or whatever that number was. And now I've got more conviction than ever that that's probably the reality. But if I'm wrong, I'll show you why it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to show that to you in a couple of seconds. There was one other comment by Mary Daly from the Fed. And to me, that comment was in such bad taste. It showed that the Fed was so out of touch with what's actually happening. I mean, what a disaster. Just listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Who follows up with the question, where are you personally seeing the impact of inflation in your own daily life?
You know, I have to say that I live, I don't like the pain of inflation anymore. I see prices rising, but I have enough that I can make substitutions, that I can do things. So I'm not immune to gas prices rising, food prices rising. I sometimes balk at the price of things, but I don't find myself in a space where I have to make trade-offs because I have enough. Many, many Americans have enough.
Who follows up with the question,
I mean, did you hear that? Instead of empathizing with Americans who don't have anything, here is a Fed employee saying, look, inflation doesn't really bother me. I can make substitutions, and I'm actually quite immune to inflation. And there's a lot of Americans that have enough. That's not what's going on the ground. The Fed is completely out of touch. The Fed is completely out of touch. But the good news, as I said to you, the good news is I think we've moved into a new cycle. And again, just to recap for people like Jimmy and all the others that are a little bit slow, you see, when rates over here started to turn, that was the 15th of June. And since then, rates have come down. We broke the head and shoulders. That should bring rates down to about here to 2.2, 2.3% on the 10-year. And on that 15th of June, as I said to you before, let me show you over here. 16th of June, look what starts happening to the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ also starts to explode. And the NASDAQ is actually up 20% since that. And that's huge. That's huge. That's really, really, really huge. So I think we are entering a new cycle. And I think specifically for crypto, we're entering a completely new cycle. Because I think we were terribly oversold because of all the mass liquidations. I think we had a black swan event. It was a huge unleveraging or a huge deleveraging, which is not normal. And the thing with crypto is that crypto is actually all about cycles. And if you know how to ride the cycles, you can make huge returns. And I want to show you the tweet that inspired my show today. Let me find that tweet. So the tweet that inspired this was this. He said, price targets for the next cycle based on noticeable growth patterns, not precise, but rounded trough to peak. Bitcoin's first cycle, Bitcoin went 1,000x to $10 billion. So Bitcoin started at one point and went 1,000x to $10 billion. In the second cycle, Bitcoin did 100x and went to $300 billion. Okay, that was the 2017 cycle. In the third cycle, it went 20x to $1 trillion. So if you want to visualize that on a chart, okay, you can check this chart. The first one was actually 1,000x, and then it went 100x, and this time it went 20x. So you can see that the higher risk you took, the earlier you bought it, whether you bought it in the first cycle, you would have made a 500x here. You would have made, if you bought in the second cycle, you would have made 100x, and if you bought in the third cycle, you would have made 16x. And of course, the clearest winners were the ones that actually bought it here and got to there, and they've made millions and millions and millions of X's, okay? So that is effectively how it works. Crypto is all about cycles. And right now, to me, it seems like we're at the bottom of a cycle. And I mean, you don't have to be a genius to work it out. You can just go to the crypto charts. You can, let's quickly go to the weekly just to make it a little bit more believable. But look at the charts here. So cycle one, you can't even see. That's how small it was. It was a 2014 cycle. In fact, this thing here was cycle one. Okay, now look at that. That was cycle one. And as small as cycle one looks on the map, remember that people that invested in cycle one made 1,000x. Actually, it wasn't even 500x. It was 1,000x. Now look how that looks in the big scheme of things. So when you're investing in an exponential technology that is a network and is gaining network effects, then the idea is to measure your risk and reward and to use your risk reward calculation to buy it and to hold it through the cycles. And the earlier cycle you buy it in, the more return you'd probably make. You would have made 1,000x if you bought Bitcoin over there. If you bought Bitcoin anywhere over here, you would have made 100x to get you to the top of that cycle over there. I think it was 100x. Let's just quickly go back to chart. Yes, it was 100x. If you would have bought anywhere there, you would have made 100x. And if you would have bought at the beginning of this cycle, which was the COVID correction, you would have made 16x. 3 different cycles. Okay, so, and you can see that the earlier cycle you bought, the higher your risk, the higher your return. So that's the premise of what I want to show you today. That if crypto operates in cycles, and we know that we're dealing with exponential technologies, and dealing with exponential technologies, right now, I think we have a very, very, very skew risk reward. And this is what I want to show you. And I'm going to use an example of a token, which I think is today probably the biggest risk reward arbitrage on the market. Okay, so let me show you what I think is the biggest risk reward on the market. And let me know if you like this. If you do, just give us a like. People saying Tomb looking 100x. Yeah, of course, but the risk reward there is not right. So let's talk about the risk reward. So let's talk about Solana and the Solana hack. So we now know that the hack actually wasn't a network hack. We didn't at any point think that it was a network hack. The exploit was actually part of something linked to Slope wallet. Now, some genius, allegedly at Slope, decided it was a good idea to store private keys as plain text files on a centralized server. And someone obviously got into the back door of their centralized server, stole the private keys, and emptied out all the wallets. Okay? Pure human negligence, storing private keys on a centralized server. And it does give a whole new meaning to the word, to the term, not your keys, not your coins. Because here, the keys were yours, but some very smart guy, I don't want to get shadow banned, so some really, really, really smart guy decided that it's okay to store keys, a copy of the keys, as plain text on a centralized server. Allegedly, we can't say that. Slope are obviously not talking about this very much. And the reason why they're not talking about this very much is because I'm sure they're looking at their legal liability. So all they're saying is, here is what we know at this juncture regarding the breaches. A cohort of Slope wallets were compromised in the breach. We have some hypothesis as to the nature of the brief, but nothing is yet firm. We feel the community's pain, and we were not immune. Many of our own staff and founders' wallets were drained. Actions we're taking. We're actively conducting internal investigations, audits, and working with top external security and audit groups. We're working with developers, security experts, and protocols, blah, 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 blah. But what they're saying here is pretty much, we're not admitting any liability, and that's probably very well worded by their legal team. My suggestion to them is if they've got any chance of surviving this and actually getting users to trust them again, they should go and raise a round at $8 million, and they should pay back all the hack victims, the $8 million that the hack victims lost, because that to me sounds like a negligible mistake. All right, But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to just clear the air that's what's happening with Solana. Now, what you are seeing is you're seeing a lot of people call Solana down, including Trader XO, who's a respected trader. He says, look, looking forward to buying Solana between $10 and $20 over the next several months. That's what he says. Okay, so that's what he says. Now, look, he's not the only one that thinks like this. I bet you that if I bring Kyle Dupes on the stream right now, I bet you, whatever you want, I bet you if I bring Kyle Dupes on the stream, Kyle Dupes has a thesis that takes Solana down to somewhere in that range. You want to take a bet? Take me a bet. Okay, Kyle. What's your bottom target? What's your bottom target?
Is my sound on? Okay.
Bottom in the short term, just to be clear, I do see a bounce from this level.
And it can possibly go up to $47.60. If it breaks that, then around $58. But ultimately, I agree with Trader XO. I see it coming down to first 18 to 22. And then if it loses that, it's coming to the $12. $12 where the best support lies. And we'll just leave it at that. We won't talk about anything under that. That's what the chart says, at least.
The funniest thing is he thinks he's going to win the trading competition. Okay, that's the funniest thing. All right, so maybe he's right, maybe he's not. And I want to show you why it doesn't matter. So if you look at Solana and you say, okay, the traders are calling it down to between $10 and $20. Now, let's make an assumption that Solana is not going to go to zero like Luna went to zero. Luna was kind of binary because why was Luna binary? Because the whole of Luna was based on an algorithmic stablecoin. And if the algorithmic stablecoin collapsed, then the whole ecosystem collapsed. With Solana, it's very different. It's a smart contract blockchain. It's a layer 1 blockchain with thousands of applications being built in it. So the chances of it going to zero are pretty much close to zero. Let's talk about the chances of it going to between $10 and $20 and what happens. So if you buy Solana today and you pay, you pay $39. Okay, so if you buy Solana today, you pay $39. Now you're right. Solana may go down to $10, $15. If it does, you're down 60 to 70%. But then what happens? You just hold it. You hold it a bit longer. Instead of holding it for 3 months, you hold it for 6 months or for a year or for 2 years. And I'm going to show you in a second what may happen if you do that. If you're wrong, though, and Solana starts going up, let's see where Solana can go to. Because for me, it's all about risk reward. You can choose to wait for a better bottom, and you may be right. You may actually get a bottom. You may actually get a $25. You may get a $28. Maybe it'll go down to $12 in the worst case scenario, which most traders are saying. But it's not going to go to zero. And you got to have a long-term thesis that Solana is going to be one of the most utilized smart contract blockchains. If that's your thesis, then you should start dollar cost averaging now. Don't wait for the bottom, because if we don't go there, let me show you what may happen. And I want you to listen to this excerpt from a podcast that was done by Laurishan with Kobe and Chris. This is a super important podcast. Listen to this.
All the assets, and this aligns with what Kobe was saying. But I think of assets just along risk spectrum, and BTC is lowest risk, ETH is next, and then you go out on this like longer tail of risk. And when things first launch, they're at the far right tail of risk, like furthest tail. But as they survive and grow and grow and grow, they migrate and become more like ETH and BTC. And when ETH launched, right, in 15, it was far right tail risk. And then so when you look at the first bull market that a lot of like tail risk crypto assets go through, that's typically where you're going to get the 1000x, at least historically. That was like, BTC early on. Like even, and I'm talking like trough of bear to peak of bull. So like if I look at 17, right, trough of bear for ETH into the peak of 17 was really 1000x, because ETH,
so it was 3,000x.
30 cents, traded like sub $1, entering like late 15 into 16. And I think of like 15, 16, 17 as one cycle. And ETH went from, just call it roughly $1 to 1,500. So that was 1000x for ETH. And then BTC was one cycle progressed. It was no longer in its 1000x stage. So BTC went from 200 in 14 and 15 220K. So that was 100x. And then you look at 21, again, BTC as a cycle progressed, right? So it's not even going for the 100x that it got in 17. If you look at 21, BTC was roughly a 20x. Call it 3K to 60K. Yeah, it was 70K, so it was like 23x. And then ETH was more in that 100x realm. ETH was only 60x from a bottom of 80 to about 5,000. But then it was the new, like, say, most successful far right risk assets that got the 1000x, and Sol was probably the poster child of that. And so then now the question becomes, okay, Sol and a lot of these other ones, but I'll just use Sol because I think it's a nice like BTC ETH Sol. So now Sol's getting sold down horribly, but that doesn't mean it dies, right? That means like you wash a lot of stuff out. Actually, what's funny is like what people are doing to Sol right now is what the BTC maxis did to ETH in 18 and 19. And now it's kind of the ETH maxis, and I get categorized as an ETH maxi, and I love ETH, but I'm not an ETH maxi. It's the ETH maxis doing to Sol what the BTC maxis did to ETH, and so the hazing cycle continues. But then you have to ask yourself, if Sol gets to something like $20, is there a 50 to 100x on the table? That would be Sol at 1,000 to 2,000. And if so, then it is just repeating what ETH has done and BTC did before it. And there are different economic models here. And
So do we believe that Sol can repeat what Bitcoin and ETH have done? And if that is the case, let's quickly look at the charts. Bitcoin did a 500x or 1,000x in the first cycle. It did 100x in the second cycle, and it did 20x in the third cycle. And that's exactly the same as what happened to ETH. ETH did a 3,000x in the first cycle and a 50x in the second cycle. Okay, so that's ETH cycle. Now you're looking at Sol. Sol did a 250x, actually did more. It probably did about 400x in the first cycle. And if you just take ETH's market cap and you say, what if Sol's market cap, but what happens if Sol just gets to ETH's market cap at the beginning of at the peak of the bull market? So what if in the next bull market, Sol just touches ETH's market cap at the beginning, at the top of this bull market? Well, in that case, the Sol market cap will go up. It was 13.5 billion now, and it'll go up to 571 billion. So that gives you a 42x. That could give you another a 42x. So that's what I'm saying. You got to be looking at the risk return, but you can't be looking at the risk return blindly. You should also back it up with fundamentals. So let me show you some of the fundamentals that I'm backing it up with. Okay, so the first thing is I'm saying, let's look at the number of active addresses on Solana monthly, and let's compare that to where Ethereum is today. So Ethereum in July had 15.53 active addresses, and in June had 12.93 million active addresses. I look at Solana, 25.32 million and 32.23 million. So Solana has almost double the active addresses of Ethereum. Let's look at transactions. Let's look at the number of transactions on the network. Let's start off with Ethereum and let's look at July, 37 million transactions. And let's look at June, 31 million transactions. Now let's look at Solana. Solana in July, 1.12 billion transactions. And in June, 886 million transactions. Now, truth be told, you can't really say that that's all the transactions on the ETH network, because there are layer 2. There are Matic and Arbitrum and Optimism and all of those things. And so to me, I think I agree with Sam Bankman-Fried when he says,
underrated token right now.
Most underrated token right now. Okay, I'm going to give a non-investment advice, blah, blah, blah. At least as of a month ago, I think the answer in some sense was Solana, not striking, but basically just because I think it had like a lot of bad PR over a short period of time. I think it sort of deserved that, to be clear. Like it went, like technologically, it had a lot of shit to work through, but I think it has sort of already worked through like 2/3 of that. I think it will get through the other third. And I think that like the thing that people were missing about it was that anytime you test the limits of what's possible, that's when you figure out what breaks. Any blockchain would have broken if it tried to do what Solana had done. And this was the way for it to figure out what needed to be refined and what needed to be improved. So I think it's sort of like, I would have wished that sort of like it had been the validator, issues had been resolved earlier. Like that would have been much better, and I think probably could have been resolved earlier. But I think the fundamental thing of like you push the boundaries and see what breaks is like what blockchains should be trying to do right now in order to grow.
So I don't know. I think you got to look at it like that and say, you know what? If you look at the risk reward, you know how these exponential technologies follow the cycle. Okay, you see that, and you can see how where we are in the cycle. And if Solana just copies Ethereum, there's a 40x in Solana in the next cycle. And then the truth is, well, then when is a good time to buy? Well, you want to buy at the bottom of the cycle and when there's a lot of FUD. Now, are we at the bottom of the cycle now? I think we're pretty close to the bottom. Can Solana go down another $10? Maybe it does. Then you lost 25% of your cash, means you have to hold a little bit longer. But your downside is that you lose 25 or 50% of your cash, and your upside is that you make 40, 50, 60, 70 times your money. And that, for me, is how the risk reward works. You got to look at the risk versus the reward. And if you look at a token like Solana and you look at the cycle theory, which I've just showed you, it makes sense to actually start accumulating something like that now. That's what I think. You always got to buy when others are FUDding. And I said this to you guys before. Remember when I said this to you guys? Just listen to this, because I know people are going to... Too much regulatory headwinds. We were speaking about Cathie Wood, and we were speaking about her selling Coinbase, and there was a whole lot of Coinbase FUD. And what did I say to you guys? How bad this is going to be and how long this crypto winter is going to be. And then we want to reduce our exposure to Coinbase. So we don't know why she did it, but she did do it. And remember, she bought those Coinbase shares. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she paid $250 for those shares. She paid $254.65 for those shares. She sold them at all-time lows of $53. I mean, that also, if you look at the rest of her portfolio, this is the ARK Innovation We're talking
ETF.
about Cathie Wood. I'm just playing you this so you get some context.
ARK ETF. And what you can see here in the flagship ARK ETF is that they are down. Let's quickly go here and have a look. 70%, 65% they're done from their highs. So that's how growth has performed, and now she's dumping Coinbase.
Now, listen to what I said.
That's the Coinbase. That's the Coinbase story. The saga continues. Remember, you want to buy when others are fearful, and now everyone's fearful. Everyone's FUDding Coinbase. Coinbase is at peak FUD. To me, if I had a stock portfolio, and I'd probably have to add Coinbase now. It just feels right to be adding Coinbase now.
That's what I said. If you had a portfolio, add Coinbase now. Was I right? Well, Coinbase is now trading. That was when Coinbase was trading at $50. You would have doubled your money on Coinbase. You would have doubled your money on a share. They came out with unbelievably big news. Huge news. Guys, you got to buy FUD. When FUD is at a maximum, that is when you buy. When FUD is at a maximum, that is when you buy. There was maximum FUD that day, and that's what I said. I said, when there's maximum FUD, that's when we go all in. And I said, buy Coinbase and put it into your share portfolio. You would double your money on a share. Now, let me tell you why that is. The crypto market should be reacting a lot more to this. And that is because BlackRock, which is the biggest asset manager in the world, okay, is now integrating Coinbase into their Aladdin system. Now, what is the Aladdin system? The Aladdin system is a system that BlackRock give to all their investment advisors, all the companies that utilize their software, and it allows them to do end-to-end investments. And now what they've done is they've integrated Coinbase into Aladdin, which means that all their institutional clients will be able to buy and store crypto using Coinbase. This is huge. This unlocks a whole lot of buying by institutional investors with one click. And so what I think is going on here is Coinbase has responded. You can see Coinbase has doubled since I told you that, but the crypto market hasn't responded to this. Well, the crypto market hasn't responded to the fact that now we've got this whole bigger pipeline of money that could start coming in. So this is the biggest news that I haven't seen in a long time. Huge news. And well done to Coinbase, and well done to anyone who listened and took my recommendation and actually bought Coinbase at the time when I said, when the market is FUDding, you buy. That's how you're going to make the most money. You don't buy when the market's running. You buy when it feels the most uncomfortable, the most uncomfortable. That's when you buy. And that's how I felt that day on Coinbase. But I didn't buy it because, to be honest, I'm not interested in my stock portfolio. I'm more interested in my crypto portfolio, but I should have bought it. Anyway, It's a lesson. 2 lessons today. One is risk reward. We're now at the bottom of the risk of this cycle. Maybe we're going to go lower, but I don't think so. Maybe we'll. And then it doesn't matter though, because your downside is 25%, but your upside is 40, 50, 60x. Okay? Don't wait for the cycle. You're not going to know when the cycle is going to be. You're not going to wait. You're not going to know when the cycle's ending. You're going to sit as a spectator on the sidelines, and you're going to say, "I'm waiting for this $10 to $12 Solana," and it might come. But if it doesn't come, you've missed the biggest opportunity of your lives. And I'm using Solana as a proxy. You can do it with any token. I mean, if you want to go further down the risk profile, go to Near Protocol. And if you look at Near Protocol, it's got a market cap, a fully diluted market cap of $4 billion, which is about 1/3 of Solana's market cap. Now, what I think is going to happen here is I think that this price is going to start increasing in the next couple of weeks. And I'll tell you why. There is a DevCon coming up between September 11th and September 14th. Now, we know what happens to token prices before a DevCon. They go up. And I looked at the DevCon. There are a whole lot of amazing speakers. They're doing it in Lisbon. I think that's a big fuck you to Solana, because that's where Solana DevCon always happens. You can see that so it's the first DevCon, and there are huge investors that are going to be there, and there are huge speakers that are going to be there. Hasib's going to be there. He's going to be there as well. He's going to be speaking. So I think that you need to watch the Near price between now and then. And if you believe in Near Protocol, you may want to start buying some now and not miss the run in case we get a run. And again, if we're wrong and the market goes down, great. Near will go back to $3 from $4.45. You'll lose 1/3 of your money. But if you hold it for a year or 2 years, or you hold it to the next cycle, you may make 30 times your money. Okay, so again, let's look at Near's market cap. Remember, ETH's market cap at the peak was half a trillion dollars, $500 million. So if in the next cycle Near becomes as big as Ethereum, you got 100x here. So decide. Your downside is 50%. Your upside is 100x. What do you think? What do you think is that a good investment? Well, you make your own decisions. I'm not here to give you investment advice. Or kind of I am. I don't know. Whatever you want. Big news. Coinbase is big news. I don't know why no one's talking about it. I'll tell you why, because we were first. We were the first. That's why we come to you now at 9:15 a.m. EST, so we can be the first to bring you guys the news. What else is there? There is a couple of other things that I want to show you. Oh, listen, Twitter's gone mad. They have been subpoenaing people for tweets. In the Elon Musk case. So they've subpoenaed a whole lot of people. They subpoenaed Binance about tweets, but they also subpoenaed David Sachs. And they want all documents and communication concerning your statement in a tweet that says, new Twitter CEO checklist includes eliminate all bots, fire useless employees. Your statement in a tweet dated 25 April. They want a whole lot of documentation relating to a tweet. So I don't know, guys, be safe out there. Hope you guys don't get a subpoena I tweeted at Parag many times. I hope I don't get a subpoena. But then again, if I do get a subpoena, where will they send it to? How will they send it to Africa? They'll never find me. All right. What else is happening? Okay, there is one or two. Okay, in fact, I'm not even going to go there. Let's get straight to the chase of it. Remember, there is the BYBIT trading competition. If you haven't signed up yet, we're still going to do some DCA today. But if you haven't signed up to the BYBIT trading competition, you go to the video here, this video over here. You just click here, DCA today. But if you haven't signed up, you go to this over here, and you click there. And what you do is you'll form part of the squad that is in the trading competition. Remember, there's $100,000 up for grabs, but it all depends on, oh man, I clicked the wrong one. It's this one that I need to click, I think. Let's just see. There we go. Okay, cool. There we go. So you can see that right now we have 645 participants. We need to get that up, because the more people that participate, and you participate for free, you just have to have $250 in your account. Okay, now I'm going to open 2 accounts, one to go long and one to go short. So I can't lose, basically. And the more people we get, the higher the prize money becomes. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun. It starts on Friday, so on the 8th, Wednesday 8th, soon. So sign up. Let's get this done. All right, lastly, I did promise you guys some DCA today. So we are going to DCA again. I changed the DCA slightly, and I want to show you what I did. So this is the DCA list. We will publish this. We'll leave the Google link in the description below. I've taken out Bitcoin. And the reason why I've taken out Bitcoin is because I want to be a little bit more aggressive this week. And in my aggression, what I've done is I've added a little bit of BNB. And the reason why I'm adding BNB is because starting to see all the signs that BNB is going to start going up. You've got a smart contract blockchain, which is actually operating quite well. And you've got Binance, which is growing at a hell of a rate. So for me, I'm starting, and you've got a deflationary token because Binance always burns the BNB token. So to me, I'm starting to DCA here. I'm putting a little bit into BNB. And I'm also doubling down or tripling down on my GMX position. Remember the last time we bought GMX? Let me show you. So we bought GMX, and I think if you look at when we bought GMX, we up 100% on the purchase of GMX. So let's just see where it is. Here we go. GMX. We bought it at $20.39, and okay, it says current value 31. I think that price is slightly off, but so I am doubling down on GMX, and I'm adding WASDA. WASDA is the token that Hustle featured, a gaming token, which is a gaming ecosystem play. I'm adding a very small percentage of my portfolio into a highly risky gaming token because I just want to get exposure to that ecosystem. Okay, so this is what our DCA list looks like here. I am monitoring our DCA using CoinStats. So here's CoinStats. Shifpreet, we will put a link below in the description in a few minutes after the show. And then I want you guys to be commenting on it. I am monitoring the growth of our portfolio. So remember, I started off with $2,500. I only deployed 1,000. Today, I'm going to deploy another 1,000. So I'm going to deploy straight after the show. I've given you guys where you can deploy it. BYBIT, KuCoin, and Uniswap. You can buy WASDA on Uniswap, I think, but you can see where you can buy it. All these, so you don't pay much gas fees. We started at 2.5. Our portfolio is now at 2,610. This is the performance of our portfolio. And you can see that I'm monitoring it all using one system. So I'm monitoring it all using CoinStats. Now, here's the deal. If you want to take out CoinStats so that you can monitor all your portfolios on one place, and you can trade from one place, because you can also trade from this. They've got an amazing competition only for Crypto Banter. If we get 200 people or more to sign up, and the signing up is like $8 a month. If we get 200 people or more to sign up, they're going to give away a Bitcoin, which means that if we get like 300 people and we draw one lucky winner, you got a 1 in 300 chance of winning a Bitcoin. So it's not like massive odds. It's like 1 in 300, 1 in 400, 1 in 500. And I'll keep you updated as to how many people are signing up so you know what your odds are. Okay, so you know what your odds are. All right, so I'm going to deploy $1,000. I'm going to leave the link for the Google Sheet below so that you guys can follow me. If you want to set up yourselves on CoinStats, you can do it. Tomorrow I'm going to do some BitGet giveaways for our American viewers who don't have VPNs, because if you had a VPN, you could do whatever you wanted. But if you're not using a VPN, well, you can do whatever. You can't play. All right, guys, listen. They told me to make shorter shows. So love you guys madly. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. We've got a huge banter tomorrow. Tomorrow, we've got Hasib, we've got Avishal, and we've got Ryan Selkis all coming onto our Friday banter. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be huge. And then next week, I'm in Korea. And by the way, if you are a winner in the Korea thing, you would have received an email from us. You need to redeem your tickets within 24 hours. Otherwise, those tickets lapse. So make sure you do. Love you guys madly. You are the best community in the world. I need your help again. Don't forget, just leave a comment. Leave us some feedback about the show in the comments, because we're trying to get rid of the shadow ban. We will see you guys again tomorrow. Much love, fam.
Subscribe-itis. Some of you are forgetting to click the like button,
no!
The subscribe button,
God!
And even the bell notification.
No! God, please, no!
Here's live footage of a viewer with subscribe-itis attempting to subscribe to the channel. Pathetic. Practice safe subscribing. Sit down when you subscribe. And don't forget to go check out goldremy.com.